is going to build a snowball and just smash the other into the ground to where the comps can't even come online and be played out how they should be on paper.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one thing, that we're saying, is whenever you have people fighting just this much, uh, you are just seeing, so much fighting, when at a higher level of play, you may not see this much fighting, and people will be able to bring their comps and let them do what they want them to do.
Yeah. I- it should be an Evo favored draft here. However, just the strength of the Seraphine and Kaisa right now, and it's gonna come down to a lot of it is are Find and Nahor just gonna completely troll the lane phase again? Or are they gonna use between the two of them, can they at least share one brain and come up with a slightly reasonable pre-level 6 laning phase? Because we've seen in both games 1 and 2, their laning is a huge weak point for check the logs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, you know, it was punished a good deal in. It could have been punished a good deal in game one. It wasn't punished nearly as hard as it should have been, and it was absolutely massively punished in game two. We'll see what happens here in game three.
Yeah, and as we do get into it, I do believe that Check the Logs has a really, really, again, spicy comp, and I'm very excited to see what they actually intend to do with that.
Alrighty, guys, we're gonna go ahead and go to a short commercial break while we wait for the spectator delay. Have a good one, and stick around. late game, but we probably are going to see a snowball before then. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, definitely a lot of champions you don't get to see very often. One that I want to draw attention to if people are not super familiar with it is the Dark Harvest Poppy Jungle. Basically, she's gonna turbo midget into your lane and just smack you for a quarter of your health in the early game, and then just be completely too strong to kill late game. That is, the Dark Harvest is not indicative of a carry poppy. Most of them still do build tank anyways, but early game she does a deceptively large amount of damage. Now, the Kane pickup by Soto is a little sus in a game 3 because I feel like he didn't actually do anything in game 2. I'd like to see him turn that around, have more of a game 1 performance, but it is a case where whoever snowballs on the side of check the logs really does have a lot of carry threat.
Now, something I really like here is EVO Frost just made the call that they're going to trade a tiny bit of Alistair's health pool in exchange for a ward right outside the Wolf Pit on blue side. That's a really interesting call, and it's going to give them so much information on where this Kane is going. If he goes for the full bot side clear, or what he decides to do.
They do see that too, because they do have a ward right on the Raptor Pit that Kane started. I'm not sure if he was aware the ward was there. I did not catch that bit of information, but he did start on a ward, and they saw him path toward the bottom. So if Poppy really wanted to go for this, yes, it's on a ward, but she could counter jungle his blue with hers being warded and just force a collapse.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like, a properly piloted Corki, is going to have the push early. So he could definitely go in for that 2v2, with the Poppy if she had chosen to do that. Now, we're not saying that be the case here, but I think it would have been a good call. Now, the Poppy is getting chunked heavily here.
Where Corki elected to... Yeah, and that's because he did choose to go for that cull start rather than a more standard item. He is getting chunked, but he does have the biscuits
the other advantage
as his rune choice, and it's going to help sustain that a little bit.
Absolutely. The other advantage here is that, he took some damage here. He's got biscuits, and the Seraphine blew most of her mana pool on trying to get, a little bit of harass. That doesn't seem like it's really going to do anything. So I questioned the call here from the Seraphine. Wow, and Truth even coming over to help, get that crab down a little earlier. It looks like if Shine wants to, he's going to be able to double crab Soto.
Yep, and this was pretty huge for the Poppy. I mean, Kane doesn't really have any way to CC the crab himself. He would need a teammate to help him do it. He is going to go for a ward, but I don't think he realizes that there's just actually nothing for him to go for right now. Probably looking for a top gank onto Mord right now.
Yep. And it's not going to get the kill, and it's not even going to force out the flash either, but it is going to give, the Kane, just a few stacks, getting him a little bit closer to that form. I like the Kane trying to be more proactive.
If anything, all it did was give information of where Kane is not and allow Poppy and Alistair to go for these deep wards together. Poppy steals away the Raptor camp. It's just these small little optimizations that EVO is making that just shows, they did come into this game 3 with a plan, and they're executing it well so far. And
we got the fight bot lane, and we even forced out the Ignite from Cabby in an attempt to kill the Maokai here.
I'll say that's a reasonable trade there. If
the Ignite doesn't go down, the Nahor definitely could have.
From the side to check the logs, no.
Exactly. And the Ignite, it definitely made it so that, the Maokai couldn't just sit there and say, my passive is up. I'm just going to, hit something and heal, and then just walk away. It made him definitely much lower than he would have been otherwise. And it put him into a spot where, in theory, they're diveable, but now with the Kayn here for the gank, we're going to see if we can actually get the first blood bot lane. And we do
Yeah,
on the
Alistair
Kai'Sa.
has no way to escape that. I think whether it's Kayn intervention or whether it's, not a completely stupid trade, I think that's the first time we've actually seen the check the logs bot lane be in a good position here.
Agreed. Although, to be fair, an Alistair with no flash, ult, being where or no flash, no ignite, no ult, being where he was, with his Ezreal having a tier, early game, he's just not going to do the level of damage that we saw from EVO's bot lane in the first 2 games. We're going to see a counter gank up top here from the Poppy. Trying to get the stun into the wall. It's not going to work, but he's going to get some damage out. And then they just walk out. This is going to force out the back here from Rappy Smacks. Or he's going to decide to just stay instead. Which I think is probably the right call. You're not nearly as worried about the Mordekaiser diving you if you just let this crash into your turret. And Truth just playing super aggressive here as he takes away the Raptor Camp once more. They're just doing everything in their power to set Soto as far behind as they can.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what you have to do in this type of situation.
100% agree here, 50. 100% agree.
I do like the vision coming out from the side of EVO. They know where this Kayn is at all times. And interesting blast cone.
That is definitely something there that I've always found interesting. One thing to keep in mind is that EVO in their first series did a much better job with ward coverage than Check the Logs did. Averaging more than a full ward per minute more than Check the Logs did. And with this much vision coverage, if Check the Logs tries to sneak the Rift Herald, if he tries to walk around on the blue side, if he tries to walk, the short way through on red side, on the bot side of his jungle, if he tries to do Dragon. This is a really tough situation to be in as Soto.
Yeah, and Alistair again, that's the second time we've seen it. I don't know if these players just on the champion, but the headbutt pulverize is such a basic staple of playing support, and you've got to be able to hit that.
Absolutely. Now, they saw the Kayn going for his blue earlier, so they know that unless he sprinted straight here, they can get this for free. And so they're just going to take this dragon, this Infernal Drake, and be happy.
Yeah, and when you've got a like this, Infernal Drake really does start to add up.
Absolutely. Whenever you have a comp that wants to just, try and get some poke in with the Ezreal, try and get some poke in with the Corki, every extra bit of, adaptive force there is going to be good. If we're checking down on the bot side of the map, it looks like here that even with that early kill being missed, or being picked up by the Kai'Sa, the Ezreal isn't nearly as far behind as you might think, although he is behind a pushing wave that the Kai'Sa's going to catch.
Yeah, I'm more interested to see, as this game continues to go on, how Corki decides to use the package. We typically see Corki players fall into either be very offensively oriented with the package, or usually try to save it as an escape, as an almost secondary flash. And given from what we've seen these first two games, I have a feeling it's going to be the former. It's going to be an all-in balls to the wall type of Corki, but it should be really interesting to see how he utilizes that here in the next couple minutes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, one thing I would like to point out with the Corki is the itemization path he's going for here. It looks like he's going for a standard Noon Quiver start, but he's also got the Tear of the Goddess. A lot of Corkis have been going for this early Essence Reaver build instead, where they rush that first item, and a lot of them just report how good it feels, because you don't have to worry about getting the mana from Manamune and having to rush that item. You get so much damage off of the Essence Reaver. It gives you the crit, it gives you all that AD and ability haste. We're going to get a fight here in the bot lane, and we're going to go ahead and get some kills out as they continue the dive onto Nahor. Nahor dead to the Corki with the double kill.
Yeah, and that is a double kill and blue buff.
Yeah, this is going to feel real bad for Seraphine.
It definitely will feel bad for her if she can pick up her own when it comes up. She'll kind of neutralize that a little bit, but Corki is definitely one of the champions you want to stall out his build as long as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why a lot of Corki players have switched over to that Essence Reaver rush. It just gives you a little bit of early fighting power so that, you can scale into the game. But, with how much he's been accelerated, we'll see what happens for him. It does look like the Seraphine is going for that more supportive build. It looks like she's probably going to go ahead and rush the Moonstaff combo here with a Bandleglass Mirror so far. So we'll see what happens. One thing I would like to point out, 50, that I'd like to comment on as a jungler is Soto was able to get a full wave and a half, it looks like, of lane XP. What's that going to do for this Kayn here?
Well, the problem with Kayn is the XP really doesn't do anything for him. It's all about stacking up the passive and getting his transformation. And being is really not helping him reach his transformation. So he's actually almost handicapping himself by choosing to get those minions. Yeah, the raw gold and the raw EXP is what it is. But Kayn is nothing more than a glorified minion until he gets his transformation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you don't think that's the lane EXP and gold is nearly as valuable on him as you would say on, like, an Udyr or a Hecarim?
No, I actually think it's... With the recent changes to the jungle, it's definitely valuable to get that experience, but gold is gold at the end of the day, and he can honestly make that back in camps or in successful ganks if he does get a killer assist. And then, again, he still gets those passive stacks towards the transformation, but it's definitely a suboptimal playstyle. And Soto fall into that last game too. He's definitely playing this Kayn better than the last.
Now, it looks like we've evened up the kills here on top side as Idris was able to go ahead and get the kill there with the help from the Poppy. Something I'd like to point out, too, that there was a kill from the Seraphine onto the Alistar, and Seraphine used her ult there to go ahead and secure that kill, which the Maokai did pick up. That means if they choose to go for Dragon right now, EVO does, the Seraphine won't have her ult, which is such a huge part of her team fighting. And yeah, it looks like they're going to go ahead and just start it right now while she still doesn't have that ult.
Yeah, and we are going to see that. It does come up now, so she's not that far off it, but I'm
What
not
a package!
really. Yeah, and that's exactly how I knew he was going to use that package, and I think that was an impressive use of the package to get in there and start that fight off. But to end up trading his life like that is a bit why I had that worry. Corky is not really a champion that wants to be in the middle of a team fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then Evo just sitting around here trying to take the scuttle and gets punished for it. With Snorlax and Idris dying. What an overstay there. You know that Catch the Logs is in the area still. They had no reason to just back right then. You know, why are you trying to contest this?
Yeah, I think we're kind of in a weird state of the game now where Corky's kind of thrown away the lead. Ezreal doesn't really have one, and Kaisa is in a position where she's going to start getting to be a problem for these carries if they don't shore up those small weaknesses. I am glad that we're heading into a mid game that is on an equal footing. That one team is not just blowing out the other so far. So I'm glad to see that both these teams have kind of, whether they've discussed some of their problems. Yeah, we're seeing the Alistair get caught out here, but probably didn't need to go that hard for Vision, but he did, and it's just going to cost him this Herald.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing you feel really terrible about as the side of Evo is you picked this poke comp. The enemy team has a Seraphine, and it's going to be an Ocean Soul here. If Catch the Logs can start getting some of these Ocean Drakes, combined with the sustain from the Seraphine, how do you win a fight as Evo?
Well, I'm just going to address the Kaisa. I don't think she really wanted to ult in there, but she
Yeah,
did, and kudos to her for giving Ezreal some stimulus.
you know, here's the thing. Just the people are hungry, and she's making sure that they're fed.
Absolutely. Change your name to Mother Teresa.
Exactly. We're all...
You know, and as you did point out just a moment ago, we do have Ocean Souls on the table again, and either team here benefits immensely from picking up Ocean Dragons, whether it be the healing from the side of Check the Logs or the poke from the side of Evo. Because every time they do land any bit of poke damage, it will trigger that passive healing from the Ocean Dragon.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, Evo is in a much better spot since they do to get that Ocean Soul, since they do have 2 Drakes already. But you know, with that gold deficit, you know, starting to add up, we'll see if there what happens with this 3rd Drake fight. It's coming up in just a couple minutes. Now, I really hated the Seraphine positioning there. She made the choice to continue clearing waves until it forced her to use her teleport to be able to be here for this fight, or this potential fight. You know, she could have just walked down, saved her teleport, you know, and been in a better spot, I feel like.
Yeah, really effective use of the Herald there, too, bot lane. We do see
Absolutely.
Corky pick up a blue buff.
And, you know, that blue buff is going to feel really good on the Corky, you know, just being able to spam out abilities even more than he already was able to with the almost fully stacked tier. Now it's just, okay, you know, I get the extra ability haste, and I'm just going to do what I want. Now, with all the vision on the bot side of Evo's juggle here, do you think that Evo should even try and fight for this Drake, or just give it?
No, I do think anytime you have an Ocean Soul, you should at least attempt to contest them. However, I don't think it's worth acing yourself and throwing away the entire game.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
They're
think
only
that's
1,000 down right now, so it's not the end of the world if they don't get this dragon, but they are absolutely making the correct call to at least contest it. Say, hey, you don't get to just have this, you have to work for it, but it's not the end of the world if they do lose it.
I agree. One thing I would have liked to see is, I didn't see who started that Drake, but if based on where the Poppy was, it looked like she did.
Poppy just
If
so
they,
the positioning there out of check the logs is a little sus, but Poppy just on vision wasted her smite on the ground. So Logs knows she couldn't smite contest the dragon, and now she just kind of sprints it.
yeah, this is really not the kind of team fighting that we saw last, game from EVO. This is definitely more of the style we saw in Game 1, where Catch the Logs just said, "Hey, we're just going to go ahead and team fight you and beat you with superior play."
Well, and I was a little concerned when I saw Evo's draft come out as to how they were supposed to approach a fight.
And like I feel like
because they don't really have any great. Yeah, they don't really have a great engage option from the side of Evo, whereas there's you have the Maokai, you have the Seraphine, you have Kane is able to flank extremely well. Not hard engage, but at least he can put out those weird angle engages.
absolutely, absolutely, and like with having the Corki and the Ezreal there, I feel like what Evo wants to do for that Drake is not start it, just stand there, dance around, and let their poke come out and let their poke shine against this comp of check the logs, and just let them poke them down until it gets to a point where they're low enough that they can say, okay, now we can take the Drake, and you can't fight us for it.
Yeah, and I do think that Evo does have to at least respect the fact that they can't continue to give over Ocean Dragons, because if they give away too many, then the healing on the side of Check the Logs is just going to be way too strong to manage between Maokai and the Seraphine. And I mean, Kane gets his healing out of the wall, so it's not supplemented by the Ocean Dragon at all, or the Ocean Soul, but those healing buffs do add up, and you don't have a fed threat on the side of Evo to actually manage that amount of healing.
Agreed. Now, what do you think about this itemization from Rappy up on this Urgot here? He's rushed the Silvermere Dawn, a second item, rather than just sitting on the QSS. Most Urgots are going for either a
I
absolutely
absolutely
rush.
respect that.
Do you think it's a good idea to finish that?
I respect him doing so because there is a good amount of CC, and the stats that it does bring to him is pretty good. I mean, the 300 health does help him kind of, brush off a little bit of that damage while he does take down. I mean, when you consider the fact that all he really has to do is kill either Corki and or Ezreal, and then everybody else on his team can just get on the side.
Excellent point.
1v5 champion on its own, to the point where if the members of Check the Logs are healthy, they will be able to burn down Mord before he can actually kill them all on equal footing. By having the Silvermere completed and that 300 gold or that 300 health extra to work with, if it allows him to survive, one or two extra abilities from either Ezreal or Corki or any outside source to be able to kill one of those two, then yes, the item pays off in spades.
All right, I like your reasoning, 50. I really like your reasoning. One thing I do really like here, with the Corki pick into this team is the Corki just makes it so hard to itemize defensively. Because, you have the Mortis that's, top lane AP threat. You've got the Ezreal who's going to do so much AD damage. But Corki's damage, is all mixed, with most of it being, magic damage coming out. So it just makes it really nice and difficult for the side of Check the Logs to itemize for, if they're behind.
Yeah, and thankfully we're still there's a 5 gold or 5 kill difference and about 3,000 gold right now. And it definitely feels like this is still a game that could go either way. And I really do like seeing that we have finally a competitive game on our hands. Now, we do see a couple pings coming out on the Baron. I'm not sure if they think they can rush this or if they're just looking for vision here.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's an amazing use of the package there to just cut off the Maokai, who was trying to go ahead and root there.
Yep. And that's what I'm talking about there with the fact that Mordekaiser can't actually deal with them when they're fed. And yeah, Kais is on the back line now, and she should just kill everything here.
Absolutely, absolutely. What an ace.
Yeah.
Or check the logs.
5 for a support is worth every day, and that should be a Baron. You're not on Dragon Soul point, so you go for the Baron over the Dragon every single time here.
Absolutely, because at this point you've got some money in your pockets. By the time that EVO is up and able to contest the Dragon, you could have backed, after killing the Baron, after winning that team fight, be in a great position to fight for this Drake, but doing it at an even bigger advantage.
Yeah, no, given the completely wrong from the side of check the logs. EVO can probably burn this dragon down before they even get to it. They should have honestly pathed straight Baron to dragon and just let Seraphine TP on it. She should have been the only one to recall. Yeah, because they're not in a position to contest now. Kayn is nowhere to be found. So now we are in a position where 5 minutes from now, we could see this game turn around, depending on how much damage actually comes out with this Baron buff from the side of Check the Logs. If they inflict enough of a lethal blow here, then the Ocean Soul is not going to matter. But if EVO can kind of stave off this onslaught now, then in 5 minutes, if they do manage to steal or secure that Dragon Soul, we could see the whole tide of this game completely shift.
We absolutely could. Now, one thing, too, though, with that is the Seraphine is going for that Chemtech Putrefier. You see it with the Oblivion Orb and Bandleglass Mirror, which means that anyone she shields or heals on her team is going to be able to apply Grievous Wounds. And that's going to really dampen down the power of that Ocean Soul and all the healing on the side of EVO here. So it may not be as bad as we would initially think. Yeah, it'll still be rough, but it might not be game-breakingly bad. Wow, and we're just seeing the team
really
that has
juggling of the tower aggro between champions and minions right now. And
absolutely,
that's probably a misclick.
Absolutely,
it happens.
It is crazy to see a team with the Corki and Ezreal being outpoked.
It's just the power of Seraphine Heal right now. She's, in my opinion, she's extremely unbalanced as a champion and only held back by how bad the mage items actually are. That's why we do tend to see her build support and still be able to be a top-tier threat.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel like the current set of mage items just do not synergize with her kit whatsoever. But her numbers and her kit allow her to be played mid, get the additional gold, and go into that support build, and just be so far ahead of any other, actual support. Because the vast majority of the time, you're not going to see, another enchanter in the mid lane or another enchanter in the top lane, like we have in years past. You don't see Karma flexed mid or top anymore, like you used to.
I do have to say, Shine has played a pretty rough series. But from what I've seen, I don't know that the Poppy bans in game 1 and 2 were completely warranted. It hasn't been a bad performance, but it's certainly not anything that's unmanageable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like this kind of Poppy performance that we're seeing out of him, it's. I don't think the champion is being let down. I don't think he's being let down by the champion. I think he's letting the champion down. It's
well,
the champion looks decent, but the piloting looks
series. Yeah, he's
absolutely.
had a rough series.
And you hate to see it, and your heart goes out to the man. It's really rough whenever you're in that spot where you do have a bad series. You got up on the wrong side of the bed. Whatever it is, but hopefully he can turn it around. Help his team dig themselves out of this hole, and see what happens. Truth is posturing really aggressively here ahead of his team.
We're going to get an answer to that question here in the next minute.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now here's the question here, 50. We have the open inhib, and we've got that Drake coming up in 48 seconds. If you're the side of EVO Frost, do you trade your inhibitor for that soul?
Oh, absolutely. That is a worthwhile trade all day, every day.
I would tend to agree with you
one
here.
Inhibitor for the Ocean Soul. You absolutely.
I think I would tend to agree with you here, 50. If Check the Logs still had Baron up, like let's say they had just taken Baron a minute or so ago, then it becomes much more of a dicey prospect saying, okay, well, maybe we can push in multiple inhibs while they're trying to take the dragon. But now, ugh. Although the way they're posturing, it looks like they might just be giving it. If they're not, then Shine is. I don't know what he's doing.
I think that's kind of a mistake. I think Shine should have completely attempted to trade his life for the soul, because now we're seeing a position where Check the Logs is 10,000 gold up at this point in the game. The Baron is spawned. There's not really a great route of engage from EVO, so you can kind of just let this Urgot play interference and just rush down the Baron and kind of use your gold advantage that you've occurred throughout the game to just slowly choke out EVO. Yeah, it does look like that's what they're gonna do. They don't see Mordekaiser. They see him in the bot lane. They know that he would have to TP in on this, and I do like the Baron Force here. Somebody has to come in and check it, and
wow.
Okay, good. The Ezreal was close. It was a valiant effort, but.
And Soto's just able to get into the backline here, and he does a lot of damage. Gets his GA pops though, so we'll see what happens. Maybe a little bit of an overstay there from Soto.
Yeah, shut down there for Corki. Yeah, I just.
Ooh, and that flash engage by the Poppy. Shine is finally starting to live up to his name here, folks.
those are two big shutdowns for Corki, a 600 and a 900. That's a 1500 swing for Corki in the span of a matter of seconds. And yeah, I mean, we're seeing him just barely behind that Kaisa, but still he's a couple of thousand gold off from actually being on par with Kaisa or Urgot right now. So there are glimmers of hope for the side of EVO. They've cut the gold lead down to about 7,000. Still a huge gold deficit, but not completely hopeless. You have the gold where you need it.
I absolutely agree. And the other thing too is that, yeah, it is a 7K gold deficit, but it's 35 minutes into the game. It's not like they're sitting on one item or maybe not even a full item while the other team has two full items. Both their big carries, they have 3 full items. And the Corki here is sitting on 3,200 gold. He's probably going to be backing here and picking up another full item right now.
As he should be. I mean, you're 2 minutes off from Dragon. You just wiped Baron. Now's the time where you have to make a stand of some kind. This should be an inhib push. I think there is a case to be made for saying, all right, we'll trade the inhib, we'll farm up. But we're definitely in a peculiar spot because I still believe that Poppy trades her life to secure that dragon. If you secure the dragon soul, it's a totally different game. If you let Check the Logs get 4 oceans plus soul point, I don't see how either team wins the game when the other has ocean soul.
Absolutely. There's an argument that can be made for Check the Logs, still being able to pull it off if EVO is able to, get the soul here. But it would be so difficult for it to actually happen, that I don't think you should even, want to think about that scenario. Whereas for EVO here, if Check the Logs has Ocean Soul, you just automatically lose this game. I think at that point it's just, you don't even try to play it out. You say, we lost this series, 2-1, we're done.
I mean, I would definitely agree to that. But League has always had a bit of a reputation as be the team that throws less. So there is always fair. A chance. But yeah, if either side does secure the soul, it's pretty impossible for the other to get back into it. Yeah. And that's that's third ocean picked up. And just given the innate healing, I mean, we're talking 7% heal every 5 seconds to max. And I'm not really if this game doesn't end in the next 5 minutes, I'm not really seeing how EVO actually contests the final dragon either.
The one thing you can say for them is that, their top laner, is getting big. He's got, some tank items now. The Poppy is on 3 items. The Corki has 4 full items, is working on a 5th. Maybe if they protect the Corki, he's able to, Truth is able to just come in, mop up a team fight, and they take this final drag. But that's really the only avenue to a win that I'm seeing here.
Yeah, and I am a bit interested. I don't know why I didn't notice this sooner, but the Maokai is actually going like a hybrid AP carry. And I do think he should have just gone straight tank.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree.
We're going to see... I do not agree with Shine taking all these kills, but at this point in the game, you do just need to kill the enemy and stave off the lead.
Yeah, it's too bad that the Baron isn't already up, because if Rappy Stacks was down for that, there's a good possibility you could just try and fast take it, say, okay, We have Baron now. What are you going to try and do? I definitely do like the fact that the Corki has finally picked up that Executioner's Calling against all of the healing on the side of Check the Logs. You know, you have 3 Ocean Drakes, you've got the Kane with the Gore Drinker, plus the Spirit Visage who's healing for a ton, you have a Seraphine, you have a Maokai. All these champs are just going to heal so much. And it looks like EVO is just trying to sneak a cheeky Baron in here. Gonna be spotted out by the ward here. The Alistar and Poppy are trying to do their best to just shield off the team.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty smart disengage, to be honest.
Absolutely. And then Shine just gets deleted.
Oh, Mord, my friend, this is not where you want to be, and this honestly could be the end of the game.
I feel like EVO played that team fight so poorly, where they could have, just tried to immediately collapse on the members of Check the Logs while they were still separated. Instead, they ended up chasing up into the Tribush.
Yeah, this should probably be a game-ending push here, actually, as we do see Inhib respawn. Save them for a moment.
Now we're just going to see if the Seraphine can just heal them all up with, the power of the Ocean Soul behind her. And it looks like, instead of trying to end here, they're just going to go and try and get that Baron, perhaps?
Yeah, that's definitely... I think the recall here is pretty safe, as Bobby just flashes in to try and kill the Kaisa and just ends up wasting the flash. But
wow, just not enough damage there. Maybe if the if Shine was sitting on more than just 8 stacks of Dark Harvest, maybe they get the kill there. It's hard to say, though. And we are seeing the members of EVO just all get shut down one by one. They're TPing in to try and catch the Ezreal.
yeah, that should absolutely be the match point right there. Ezreal can't pull this off. That's that's gonna be the game, unfortunately. And well played by Check the Log. I think there were glimmers of hope from EVO, but unfortunately they just played a little bit sloppy. And I'm gonna be honest, on the end of the day, Soto just shined better than EVO. There was a clear jungle difference in this series, and I think that game 2, the Sejuani was definitely a safe pick, but that is a point of weakness that is going to be easily exploitable by other teams around the league. They drafted scared. They put so many bans toward the jungle and still could not pull off a lead out of that role. And I really think that is a very dangerous weakness in the current meta, to have a jungler that cannot enable the rest of your team.
Absolutely, 50. Absolutely. If you're being given that many resources in draft, then absolutely you're being dependent on by your team to carry a game, and we just didn't see that of Shine, and you really hate to see it. It looked like he was definitely trying. It didn't look like a lack of effort from him. His pathing looked fine. Most of the time his flashes looked like he was definitely going for it, but he definitely was outplayed.
Yeah, and again we saw 2-2 and 16 on the Seraphine is a reason that this champion gets banned so often. Is she doesn't really have to do much herself in order to just be a nuisance for everybody else in the game. She's kind of like, her own Yumi.
Absolutely, and it's a great way to put it. Seraphine is basically like, you almost have a half Yumi on your entire team with how much she enables them.
Yeah, when are we gonna get the Catgirl streamer? The Catgirl streamer skin. The definitely not Yumi.
Well, definitely not Yumi for Seraphine is coming in 2021. Because someone from Riot is definitely watching this stream right now and heard 50. So we are definitely going to see that.
I wouldn't put them past them. Don't bother fixing the client. Just release e-girl skins. That's what the people want.
Absolutely, absolutely. 50, any final thoughts on this game?
I think it was a great series. I think both teams definitely had high points, and both teams definitely had some things that they can look back on this and shore up some glaring weaknesses. But all in all, I really want to give kudos to Check the Logs. I think they are definitely looking like a team that plays a very strong top side of the map, and I want to see what they can do the rest of this season. They are definitely looking like one of the better teams in this division. And again, I'm not taking anything away from EVO here. I think they just had an off night because they did not look like they did in their week 1 performance. But if they can maybe, regroup and reset the mental, these are two very strong teams.
Absolutely. We could definitely see EVO, going far in this league as well as Check the Logs. I think they're both very good teams, and I'm anxious to see how they do the rest of the season. With that, folks, we are being wrapped up for the night with the end of this series. So we hope you all have an excellent rest of your week, and keep on watching.